5 years ago today, the high-profile sale of a Ming Dynasty artwork brought the world not only into contact with the most remarkable painting of a stone ever made, but also the depth of the Chinese relationship with the natural world. Called 10 Views of Lingbai Rock, the painting sold for 77 million at auction, the highest ever for a Chinese classical painting. Read all about the painting 2021 of the 10 Views of Lingbai Rock, fair use in 1610. The professional painter Wu Binci, 1543 z. 1626 completed a painting of a stone after spending a month examining it. The commission for the painting was from the prominent official, calligrapher and collector Myandong 15,700,628. The scroll contains 10 near-life-size renditions of one particular stone that Mai acquired sometime between 1608 and 1610. Mai Wandron actually wrote about watching his friend Wu Bin paint and seemed as fascinated by Wu as by Wu's painting, seeing from him that Wu had merged his consciousness with the stone and painting it from 10 angles exhausted his skill. Wu examined it so thoroughly from morning to night that his consciousness merged with it. Then, taking up a piece of old paper, he first painted it from the front and back, but he was not done with his painting. He continued portraying the left and right sides, but the painting was still not finished yet. He went around the stone and portrayed the front, back, left, and right sides diagonally. With the bottom from the front and from the back, we completed 10 views in all. More good news on this day, 244 years ago. At Yorktown, Virginia, representatives of British Commander Lord Cornwallis formally surrendered to Gen. George Washington and the French commander Rochambeau, turning the tide toward independence for the American colonies of 1818. One happy 88th birthday, Jon Favreau, the comedy actor-turned-director, who starred in and directed Chef and also directed Elf, Iron Man, and Iron Man 2, The Jungle Book 1960. Mother Teresa was beatified as a saint by Pope John Paul Roman II during a ceremony in St. Peter's Square 2030. The Dow Jones Industrial Average closed above 1213 for the first time, finishing the day at 12:11:26 24 years ago today. The Pomp Circumstance March by Edward Elgar premiered in Liverpool. In Canada and the US, the trio section is often known simply as the Graduation March and is played as the processional tune at virtually all high school and college graduation ceremonies. It was first played at such a ceremony 4 years later at Yale University, where the professor of music Samuel Sumford had invited his friend Elgar to attend commencement and receive an honorary doctorate of music. Elgar accepted, and Sumford made certain he was the star of the proceedings, engaging an orchestra to perform parts from Elgar's oratorio, and as the graduates and officials marched out, Pomp and Circumstance March Note 1 was playing. RUT that title is taken from Act Roman 3 of Shakespeare's Othello, which waxes poetically about the glory of warriors going into battle. Elgar was in attendance at the premiere of the piece in England when it was performed by the Liverpool Orchestral Society, and it was a frantic success. 2 days later, the conductor recalled that the audience rose and yelled the one and only time in the history of the Promenade concerts that an orchestral item was accorded a double encore. Watch Edward Elgar conduct the march at the opening of the London Abbey Road Studios in 1935, telling musicians, "Please play this tune as though you've never heard it before." 1910. On this day in 1932, French biologist and physician Alain Bombard set sail in an inflatable boat just through an FD long 4.4 in order to prove that shipwrecked people could survive crossing an ocean. He took only a sextant and almost no provisions and survived by fishing and drinking a limited amount of seawater. He published a book about his trip entitled Norfolk Volunteer after completing his 2007 75-mile 4,400 km voyage in 9 weeks. Also on this day in 1940, the first remedy for tuberculosis was identified by Dr. Salman Waxman, a Ukrainian-born Jewish-American inventor, biochemist, and microbiologist who had been studying the subject for years at Rutgers University. The professor's team discovered streptomycin, the first antibiotic that could be used to cure tuberculosis. In fact, he coined the term antibiotics to describe antibacterials derived from other living organisms and won the Nobel Prize in Medicine for the work. He donated the licensing proceeds of his patents to fund a foundation for microbiological research at Rutgers. Happy birthday to John Lithgow, who turns 80 today. The Accountant premiere on Da Baby Pictures Snapchat 2006 in Ultra Antique CC license fair use after winning his first Tony Award for his 1960 debut Broadway performance in The Changing Room. He later tried his hand at comedy in 1960, playing an alien from outer space in Sev Rock from the Sun, for which he received 6 consecutive Emmy nominations, winning 3 during the show's 6 seasons. Lithgow also voiced the evil Lord Farquaad in the animated film Shrek and earned Oscar nominations for supporting roles in The World According to Garp and Terms of Endearment. He earned a degree in history and literature from Harvard magna cum laude in history and literature, where he later became the first actor ever to give a commencement address at the prestigious university. He also sings opera and has written best-selling children's books, and his latest collection of comic satirical poetry is set for release this week. Dumpty, The Age of Trump in Verse. 1945 and 35 years ago today, Dances with Wolves, the epic Western film starring Kevin Costner, premiered. It was Costner's directorial debut too, and it won the Oscar for Best Picture. A film adaptation of the book by Michael Blake set in the 1860s, it tells the story of a Union Army lieutenant who,